27-year-old Gu Nian was once a wildly popular child star. Now he's just a background extra on a film set in Hengdian, without a single line of dialogue, sweating under the blazing sun day after day, repeating the same collapse and fall motion, scraping by on a meager day rate. No one could have guessed that the most ordinary of days was about to completely upend his fate.
Wiping sweat, laughing bitterly, Gu Nian, once hailed as a child prodigy, and now reduced to this, where no one even remembers my name anymore. I guess that's just fate.
The chaos of the set feels completely out of sync with Gu Nian. Whatever passion he once had for acting has long since been ground down by reality, leaving nothing but mechanical repetition and the loneliness of returning to his rented room late at night. During a break in filming that day, Gu Nian suddenly feels the world spin without warning. His chest feels crushed under an invisible weight. Everything goes black and he collapses straight onto the set floor, sending the extras around him into a panic.
Panicking, Gu Nian, what's wrong? Someone call an ambulance, quick!
The production's ambulance races over and rushes the unconscious Gu Nian to the hospital. A twist of fate no one saw coming has quietly arrived. When he wakes up, Gu Nian receives news that hits like a bolt from the blue. He's been diagnosed with an extremely rare condition called blood corrosion syndrome. His body will deteriorate and age at a rate far beyond normal. The attending doctor declares he has less than a year left to live.
Grave-faced, Mr. Gu, medical science currently has no cure for blood corrosion syndrome. You need to prepare yourself mentally. Your physical condition will only get worse from here.
Sitting dazed on the hospital bed, muttering to himself, a year? I'm only 27. I haven't left behind a single work worth remembering. Is this really how my life ends, quietly, with nothing to show for it?
Upon hearing the news, Shen Man, his manager, the only one still willing to represent him, rushes to the hospital overnight. Looking at the haggard Gu Nian in the hospital bed, her eyes redden, but she clenches her fists, still stubbornly refusing to give up.
Holding his hand, firmly, Gu Nian, however much time you have left, as long as you're still willing to act, I'll still be willing to fight alongside you. We can't just accept this as fate.
Smiling bitterly, thanks, sister man. But honestly, with the state my body's in now, I probably can't even make it through one decent scene.
Late that night in his rented room, Gu Nian sits alone by the window, watching the city's nightscape still bustling with traffic outside, filled with a deep sense of injustice. He had never truly given up on his dream of becoming a real actor, and now this terminal illness is about to cut it short for good.
Looking out the window, voice hoarse, God, if you'd really give me one more chance, I'd pay any price. I just want one real chance to act, to give a role that makes everyone remember me.
The moment the words leave his mouth, a sudden sharp pain explodes in Gu Nian's mind. Right after, a cold, mechanical voice rings out without warning deep in his consciousness. Ding! Host detected on the verge of death, yet still holding an extreme yearning for performance. Death roll life extension system officially bound. This strange mechanical voice makes Gu Nian's whole body stiffen. He almost thinks he's already sick enough to be hallucinating.
Clutching his head in shock. What is that voice? A system? Life extension? Am I hearing things, or did something truly bizarre just happen to me?
The system's cold notification tone continues ringing in his head, laying out in detail the rules of this strange new power. Every time he fully commits and truly embodies a dangerous, dark, high-tension villain role, he'll be rewarded with an extension of his lifespan, along with special abilities tied to that role. After repeatedly confirming it, Gu Nian gradually grasps the core rule of this system. The more dangerous the role, the closer it hews to real darkness and extremity, the greater the lifespan extension and ability rewards he'll receive. But at the same time, every performance requires him to completely immerse himself in the role's mindset, and that carries no small risk of its own.
Gritting his teeth, muttering to himself, the greater the danger, the greater the reward. This is gambling with my life. But at this point, I don't have any other choice left.
Since fate has already backed him into a corner, Gu Nian simply decides to go all in, taking his first resolute step toward this strange yet singular chance at survival. After recovering and leaving the hospital, Gu Nian, riding on a wave of desperate determination, goes to audition for a villain role in an action thriller film currently in production. A role with heavy screen time that's been struggling to cast because of how dangerous the stunt work is.
Sizing him up, skeptically, Gu Nian? The washed-up child star? This role has an enormous amount of dangerous stunt work. Are you sure your body can handle it?
Eyes resolute. Director, give me one chance. I guarantee I'll bring this role truly to life.
He Shuren, the veteran director leading this film, notices, with the instincts honed over decades in the industry, that near-desperate resolve in Gu Nian's eyes. Overruling the objections of others, he decides to give this underestimated, washed-up actor a precious opportunity.
Studying him for a moment, solemnly, fine. This role is yours. But I'll be blunt, the dangerous stunts on this set won't be scaled back just because you're new. You'll have to hold your own.
Nodding solemnly. Director He, rest assured, I will not let you down.
On the first day of shooting, Gu Nian immediately feels the crew's undisguised skepticism and disdain, especially from Mu Chengchuan, the film's reigning A-list co-star, who makes no effort to hide his contempt for this washed-up actor who parachuted in out of nowhere.
Looking him over with contempt, I heard you used to be a child star? Now you've sunk to taking on a dangerous villain role that even stunt doubles aren't too keen on. That's really something.
Calmly. Mr. Mu, whether a mule or a horse, you'll know soon enough once it's out running.
The moment the cameras officially start rolling, Gu Nian seems to transform into a completely different person. That vicious, obsessive, unhinged darkness that had almost never shone on him before seeps out from deep in his eyes without a hint of unnaturalness. The entire set falls silent in an instant.
Staring intently at the monitor, in disbelief. That look in his eyes, that presence, how on earth did this kid pull that off?
The take ends. Gu Nian collapses to the ground almost as if drained of all strength, gasping for breath. At the same time, a long-awaited system notification chimes once again in his mind. Ding! Host has successfully embodied a dangerous villain role and gained recognition. Lifespan extended by plus 30 days. Unlocked exclusive ability. Micro-expression insight. Gu Nian's eyes widen in disbelief. He feels that withered-away sensation deep in his body quietly, genuinely returning to some degree.
Mumbling in shock, it's real, it's really extending my life? This system is actually real?
This vivid, undeniable feedback fully convinces Gu Nian that this strange power is real, filling him with an unprecedented sense of certainty and anticipation for the shoots ahead. However, during the filming of a high-risk aerial wire suspension confrontation scene, the safety wire used by a supporting actor performing opposite Gu Nian suddenly snaps without warning, and the actor is about to plummet straight down from a great height.
Screaming in terror, help! The rope snapped.
In that split second, Gu Nian, drawing on the abnormally sharp instincts and reflexes granted by the system, lunges forward almost by instinct and clamps down on the man, narrowly averting a tragedy. Afterward, Gu Nian calms down and carefully examines the snapped safety wire. With the keen insight granted by the system, he notices something odd. The break in the cable doesn't look like ordinary wear and aging, but rather as though someone had deliberately tampered with it beforehand.
Pinching the broken cable, thoughtfully, this break doesn't look right. It's almost like someone tampered with it in advance. Could this not have been an accident at all?
This faint suspicion plants itself like a seed deep in Gu Nian's heart. He decides to quietly keep his guard up from now on. After wrapping for the day, Gu Nian tells Shin Man everything about his suspicions in detail. To his surprise, the usually composed Shin Man's expression turns just as grave once she hears it all.
Grave-faced, actually, I've been hearing some rumors myself lately. Over the past few years, this production company has had several similar accidents on high-risk action shoots, but each time it was suppressed without a trace.
Frowning, that's quite the coincidence. Sounds like there's more to this than meets the eye.
As filming proceeds smoothly and post-production begins, Gu Nian's high-impact villain footage is the first to leak through the trailer. His masterful performance instantly sparks heated discussion online, and many who once wrote him off begin to change their minds.
Paraphrased, oh my god, is that the washed-up child star Gu Nian? His villain performance is insane. That ruthlessness in his eyes gave me chills.
Paraphrased, I was ready to complain about a casting mistake, but now all I can say is I can't wait to see his performance in the full film.
The news of the trailer going viral brings both He Shuren and Shin Man great relief. But Gu Nian's mind keeps drifting back to that snapped safety wire. and the truth behind it that remains unresolved.
Patting Gunyan's shoulder, pleased, "Kid, you've really impressed me this time. Keep it up. There's an even heavier role waiting for you ahead."
Solemnly, Director He, I'll give it everything I've got. But I'd also like to ask you about some details regarding a few past accidents on this production.
Hearing Gunyan bring up past accidents, He Shuren's relaxed expression instantly, subtly stiffens. A flash of hard-to-detect complexity and wariness crosses his eyes.
Expression complicated, lowering his voice, "You'd better not dig any deeper into that. Whatever's behind those accidents is probably far more complicated than you imagine."
He Shuren's hesitant, unfinished reaction only makes Gunyan more certain that something concealed and unspoken is buried beneath all this. After much effort, Gunyan and Shinman finally managed to get in touch with Suli, a veteran investigative journalist who has long been tracking the entertainment industry's hidden scandals. With her years of professional instinct, she'd already noticed a string of bizarre accidents on high-risk productions in recent years.
Gray-faced, Mr. Gu, the fact that you two came looking for me means you've noticed something's off too. Over these past few years, I've quietly tracked and recorded no fewer than 5 similar on-set accidents.
Solemnly, Ms. Su, we want to know what's really hiding behind these accidents.
Suli lays out the materials she's secretly compiled over the years. Every single accident, no matter the production, traces back to the same behind-the-scenes investment company. And each time an accident occurs, this company collects a staggeringly large insurance payout with remarkable speed.
Pointing at the documents, look at this, every one of these accidents is connected to an investor called Huading Films. And every time something happens, the payout amounts are absurdly high.
Shocked, Huading Films. Isn't that the actual investor behind our own film?
After a night of intense joint investigation, Gunyan and the others finally confirmed the true mastermind behind it all, Jiang Shichong, chairman of Huading Films. By investing in high-risk action productions, he deliberately creates extremely dangerous filming environments, then secretly orchestrates accidents to defraud massive insurance payouts.
Muttering coldly to himself in his office, "These actors are nothing but pieces on my chessboard. As long as it brings in a big enough payout, what does it matter whether one dies or several?"
Learning of Jiang Shichong's true nature, treating other people's lives as utterly worthless, completely ignites the fury in Gunyan's heart. During the investigation, Gunyan also discovers, to his surprise, exactly why He Shuren has always been so tight-lipped about similar accidents. It's because his own most promising protege died years ago in an on-set accident orchestrated personally by Jiang Shichong. This long-buried pain is something he's never dared to revisit lightly.
Voice trembling, finally confessing, "That kid was my own protege, someone I trained with my own hands. After that accident, I thought about reporting it, but Jiang Shichong's influence runs too deep, and I alone couldn't shake him. I had no choice but to swallow it."
Solemnly, Director He, this time, we will get that kid the justice he deserves.
Meanwhile, Gunyan also discovers that Mu Changchuan, who's always been hostile toward him, is actually another pawn under Jiang Shichong's control. Jiang Shichong has long held Mu Changchuan's family debt over him as leverage, forcing him to cooperate with all of his schemes.
Confessing guiltily, I'm sorry, Gunyan. The reason I targeted you before is because Jiang Shichong threatened me, said if I didn't cooperate, he'd expose my family's debt and destroy us.
Solemnly, Mr. Mu, you're a victim too. It's not too late to expose him now.
Realizing that Gunyan and his allies are secretly investigating him, Jiang Shichong no longer chooses to hold back. He begins secretly maneuvering, preparing to eliminate these thorns in his side who threaten his vast criminal enterprise.
Coldly giving orders, "Since these people who don't know their place insist on meddling, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Find a way to make them disappear entirely during the next high-risk scene."
A deadly conspiracy targeting Gunyan and the others quietly begins to unfold. Just as expected, on the day of filming the film's most critical high-altitude explosion confrontation scene, the technicians secretly bribed by Jiang Shichong quietly tamper with the safety parameters of the explosive rig, preparing to eliminate Gunyan once and for all under the guise of another accident.
Whispering nervously, "Mr. Gu, the safety distance settings for today's explosion scene seem different from usual. Please be extra careful."
Expression sharpening. Thanks for the heads up. I'll be especially careful.
During filming, Gunyen, drawing on the abnormally sharp instincts granted by the system, detects the anomaly in the explosive device's parameters just in time. In the instant before detonation, he throws himself with everything he has, dragging a nearby supporting actor down with him into a safe zone, narrowly escaping this deliberately staged, deadly accident.
Still shaken, Mr. Gu, that was way too dangerous just now. If you hadn't reacted so fast, both of us would have been done for right here.
Grim-faced, this isn't an accident anymore. Someone is trying to kill us.
After this brush with death, Gunyen joins forces with Shin Man, Su Li, and the now defected Mu Chengchuan to work through the night, doing everything possible to gather solid evidence of Jiang Shichang's equipment tampering and insurance fraud, preparing to bring him down for good.
Organizing evidence, solemnly, these surveillance recordings of the tampered equipment, along with the bank records of the insurance payouts, are already enough to nail Jiang Shichang for premeditated murder and insurance fraud.
Solemnly good. Next, we need to choose a moment he'd never expect, and expose him in front of everyone.
Realizing that Gunyen and his team have already gathered enough evidence, a cornered Jiang Shichang stops hiding altogether and sends people to break into Su Li's residence overnight, attempting to seize the evidence and silence them for good.
Terrified, someone broke in. Gunyen, we can't lose that evidence.
Fortunately, Gunyen had prepared ahead of time, hiding a backup of the key evidence in a secret location, narrowly escaping this sudden attempt at a cover-up without incident. After much deliberation, Gunyen and the others ultimately decide to expose Jiang Shichang's true face publicly at the upcoming annual film awards ceremony. A grand, live broadcast event that draws the eyes of the entire industry, leaving him with nowhere left to hide.
Solemnly, this is a risky decision, but it's also the best chance to let the whole industry see the truth.
Eyes resolute. Director the arrow's already on the string. This time, there's no turning back.
On the night of the awards ceremony, Gunyen, thanks to his high-impact villain performance in the film, unexpectedly earns a Best Supporting Actor nomination. Jiang Shichang, meanwhile, sits proudly in the front row of the guest seating as the representative of the film's biggest backer, utterly unaware that a storm targeting him is about to break.
Reading out the nomination, Best Supporting Actor nominee, Gunyen, praised industry-wide for his high-tension villain performance in this film.
Thunderous applause erupts from the audience. Gunyen takes a deep breath and slowly rises, walking toward the center of the stage. Standing under the spotlight, Gunyen doesn't give the acceptance speech everyone expects. Instead, he takes a deep breath and solemnly pulls out the evidence he's prepared in advance, exposing this long-planned cover-up in front of all the guests present and the millions of viewers watching the live broadcast.
Speaking into the microphone, solemnly, before I give my acceptance speech, I want to expose something first. The real mastermind behind multiple on-set injuries and deaths in our industry over the past few years is sitting right here, tonight, in the guest seats.
The whole venue falls into dead silence in an instant. Every single gaze snaps toward Jiang Shichang, whose face has gone completely pale. On the giant screen, the solid evidence Su Li prepared in advance, surveillance footage of the tampered safety equipment, bank transfer records of the massive insurance payouts, is displayed one after another in front of the entire audience and the live broadcast cameras. Jiang Shichang's face turns as white as paper.
Bluffing through gritted teeth. Nonsense. This is all fabricated evidence. I'll sue every one of you for defamation.
Not backing down at all. The evidence is airtight, Mr. Jiang. Denying it won't be so easy this time.
Seeing that the game is up, Jiang Shichang tries to slip away through a backstage passage amid the chaos, but he never expected that Su Li had already contacted the police in advance. A large team of officers is already waiting at the backstage exit and apprehends him on the spot.
Showing his badge, Jiang Shichang, you're suspected of intentional bodily harm, insurance fraud, and multiple other serious crimes. Please come with us.
Collapsed on the ground, ashen-faced, no. This can't be happening.
The very instant Jiang Shichang is captured, an unprecedented, resounding notification suddenly rings out in Gunyen's mind. The richest reward the system has ever given him.
Mechanical tone, ding. Host has exposed a major cover-up through genuine performance, saving countless potential victims. Ultimate system reward triggered, blood corrosion syndrome permanently eradicated. Lifespan fully restored to normal.
Trembling all over, in disbelief. I'm cured. I really don't have to live on a countdown anymore.
Looking at his own hands, no longer trembling, no longer tinged with sickly pallor, Gu Nian is finally certain. That death sentence once handed down to him has been completely erased. Through his own do-or-die gamble, he's won back the right to keep living.
Hugging him excitedly, Gu Nian, you did it. You didn't just expose the truth, you saved your own life too.
Eyes brimming with tears. Thank you, sister man, for never giving up on me.
Jiang Shichang soon faces formal legal trial. Given the solid evidence of his deliberate orchestration of multiple deadly accidents, his massive insurance fraud, and his blatant disregard for human life, he is ultimately sentenced by law to a long prison term, with all his implicated assets ordered confiscated.
Reading the verdict, the defendant, Jiang Shichang, deliberately orchestrated multiple major safety incidents and defrauded massive insurance payouts. Given the extremely severe nature of his crimes, he is sentenced to 25 years in prison, with all illicit gains to be confiscated.
The once untouchable titan of the entertainment industry finally pays the price for his countless crimes. Once the case is fully resolved, He Shuren's protege, who died wrongfully all those years ago, finally receives the long-overdue recognition he deserved. The industry association specially posthumously awards him a certificate of honor, offering some comfort for this long-buried regret.
Holding the certificate, tears streaming, "Kid, this long-overdue justice has finally been given to you. You can rest easy now."
Solemnly, Director this belated justice is something we all achieve together.
Mu Chengchuan, through his brave decision to cooperate in exposing the scandal, also fully frees himself from Jiang Shichang's long-standing threats and manipulation, reclaiming his own integrity and dignity. He solemnly expresses his heartfelt gratitude to Gu Nian.
Solemnly, Gu Nian, thank you. If it weren't for you, I probably would have lived under Jiang Shichang's shadow for the rest of my life. From now on, we're friends.
Shaking his hand with a smile, Mr. Mu, I'm glad we could help clear this industry's name together.
After this industry-wide scandal breaks, the relevant authorities seize the moment to establish a stricter, more transparent on-set safety oversight system, aiming to eliminate similar tragedies at the root.
At a press conference, this incident has sounded an alarm across the entire industry. We will establish stricter on-set safety review standards, and we will absolutely not allow tragedies like this to happen again.
This exposure, which Gu Nian achieved by risking his own life, also indirectly pushes the entire industry a huge step forward toward greater safety standards and respect for human life. After the storm settles, Gu Nian, thanks to his high-impact villain performance in the film and his courage in exposing the truth, wins that year's Best Supporting Actor award. The once-forgotten washed-up child star has finally, through genuine talent, reclaimed his place in the spotlight.
Announcing the winner, the Best Supporting Actor award goes to Gu Nian for his masterful performance and extraordinary courage. Well deserved.
Applause thunders on without end. Gu Nian holds the trophy, eyes welling up. This moment has been a long time coming. After accepting the award, Gu Nian stands backstage quietly gazing at the heavy trophy in his hands, reflecting on this life or death, yet richly rewarding, strange journey. He's gained a whole new understanding of the two words, true acting.
To Shun man, with feeling, I used to think acting was just a way to make a living. It wasn't until now that I truly understood. Real acting means holding nothing back, giving your very soul, to truly move someone else.
Smiling with relief, that's probably the most precious lesson this near-death journey has taught you.
After going through this life and death trial together, the relationship between Gu Nian and Shin Man, once purely professional, quietly warms without either of them realizing it. The two gradually go from comrades fighting side by side to becoming each other's most important support in life.
Leaning against his shoulder, being able to walk through the darkest days with you, and to witness you rise back up, that's the thing I'm proudest of in my entire life.
Gently wrapping an arm around her, sister man, whatever kind of role I take on from now on, we'll carry it together.
In his free time, Gunyen still often brings a bouquet of flowers to pay respects to Hee-Shuren's wrongfully deceased protégé. The site of the original accident on set now bears a solemn memorial plaque erected by the Industry Association, reminding those who come after to always put safety first.
Setting down the flowers, murmuring softly, "This belated justice, and this plaque, I hope it lets you rest easy now."
The memorial plaque stands quietly in a corner of the set, silently telling the story of this harrowing, yet ultimately just chapter of the past. After his career gets back on track, Gunyen doesn't forget the difficult days when he was at rock bottom, believed in by no one. He takes the time and effort to start mentoring a new generation of struggling young actors who share the same dream he once had.
Humbly asking for advice, Mr. Gu, for someone with average talent and no connections like me, is there really still a chance?
Solemnly, as long as you're willing to give your whole soul to any role, you can make it shine with something uniquely your own. Opportunity always favors those who are prepared.
Suli also wins a prestigious annual journalism award for her investigative report exposing the entertainment industry's dark scandal and fully reconstructing the entire incident. The judging panel praises her professional spirit, fearless in the face of power, unafraid to dig for the truth.
Reading the award citation, this year's winner, Suli, exposed a major scandal in the entertainment industry with professional, rigorous, and fearless investigative spirit. She thoroughly deserves this honor.
Acceptance speech. This honor belongs to everyone who was willing to cooperate honestly in exposing the truth, especially Mr. Gunyen.
Free from Jiang Shichang's shadow, Mu Chengchuan also completely sheds the arrogance and coldness he was once forced to put on as a facade, gradually developing a genuine friendship with Gunyen. The two even go on to co-star in a new project together.
Teasing with a smile, who would have thought? We nearly became bitter enemies at first, and now we're actual collaborators. I guess that's just fate's sense of humor.
Smiling back, yeah, no fight, no friendship. We should definitely work together more.
After things settle down, Gunyen finally musters the courage to tell his parents, who had been worried sick about his health all along, about everything he's been through. Both terrified and proud, the elderly couple can hardly believe it.
Hugging him tightly, crying and laughing at once, "My boy, look at all the suffering you went through. From now on, you can't keep gambling with your life like that without telling your mother."
Guiltily, Mom, the situation was really too urgent at the time. It's all over now. From now on, I'll be sure to come home and visit you often.
After Gunyen's do or die, against all odds story spreads widely, quite a few young dreamers facing similar hardships write to him expressing their gratitude. One in particular, a young woman who had once nearly given up on her acting dream, deeply moves him.
In her letter, Mr. Gu, seeing your story gave me back the courage to keep chasing my dream. Thank you for making me believe that as long as you don't give up, there's always a turning point.
Reading the letter, eyes welling up, being able to give other people a little courage through my own experience. That's probably the most gratifying thing to come out of this whole ordeal.
After the success of his first film, Gunyen doesn't slack off. Instead, riding on the precious time bought by the system's lifespan extension, he takes on several more high-risk villain-centered projects in quick succession, gaining new lifespan and exclusive abilities from the system with each all-in genuine performance.
To Shun Man, resolutely. Since this path can save my life, I'm going to keep going, project after project, and give every single dangerous role everything I've got.
Relieved yet worried, I understand your drive, but you need to pace yourself too. Don't push yourself too hard.
In a darker, more extreme suspense film, Gunyen, through an almost manic level of commitment, triggers another generous reward from the system. This time, not only does he gain a longer lifespan extension, he also unlocks the exclusive ability to rapidly and precisely deduce other people's behavioral logic.
Mechanical tone, ding. Host's depth of performance has reached a new threshold. Lifespan extended by plus 90 days. Unlocked exclusive ability, behavioral logic deduction.
Wiping cold sweat from his forehead, muttering to himself, "The deeper I go, the richer the reward, but it's getting harder and harder to pull myself back out of it."
As he repeatedly immerses himself deeply in dark, unhinged villain roles, Gunyen gradually notices himself unconsciously showing traces of a role's leftover coldness and paranoia even in real life. This dangerous blurring of identity boundaries worries Shin Man greatly.
Deeply worried, Gunyen, The way you've been talking and acting these past few days feels unfamiliar to me. Have you noticed it yourself?
Stunned for a moment, laughing bitterly, I think I'm starting to lose track of what's the character and what's actually me.
Noticing this potential psychological crisis, Shin Man proactively clears some of his non-essential bookings, spending time with him hiking, watching old films, and doing ordinary things completely unrelated to acting, helping him gradually find a clear boundary again between reality and the roles he plays.
Gently, acting is your career, but first and foremost, you have to be Gunyen yourself. Don't lose yourself inside a role.
Nodding solemnly, thank you, Sister Man. With you reminding me, I can always remember who I really am.
During a late-night conversation, Shuren shares with Gunyen the story of how he first discovered his late protégé's raw talent. That kid, back then, came from equally humble beginnings, but moved him with a pure, unadulterated love for acting.
Reminiscing, eyes softening, that kid, back at his audition, had the same fire in his eyes that you had the first time you shot that villain scene. I think that's the moment I decided to believe in you.
Solemnly, Director I will not betray this trust of yours.
Through Shuren's halting, fragmented account, Gunyen finally pieces together the full tragic story of what happened back then. That young protégé also died on a high-risk explosion scene secretly manipulated by Jiang Shichang, killed on the spot when a safety device that had been tampered with in advance failed, with no time to save him.
Voice trembling. Everyone on set that day watched helplessly, but no one made it in time to save him. I've carried that guilt for 8 whole years.
Gripping his hand solemnly, Director this time, we will make sure this guilt is finally, fully released.
The reason Su Li is so relentlessly devoted to exposing the entertainment industry's dark side traces back to something she witnessed years ago with her own eyes. A similar on-set tragedy that was likewise whitewashed as an accident. Its truth buried for a long time. That deeply buried professional regret is what made her determined to become a journalist unafraid of digging for the truth.
Recalling, with feeling, if that incident years ago had been exposed sooner, maybe some unnecessary sacrifices could have been avoided. I've carried that regret with me ever since.
It's precisely this long-buried professional conviction that makes Su Li so relentlessly thorough and unwilling to give up easily when facing this investigation. After digging deeper, Gunyen learns that Mu Qingchuan's family once fell into massive debt years ago after a failed investment. Jiang Shichang seized the opportunity to pay off part of that debt on their behalf, using it ever since as leverage to force Mu Qingchuan to publicly help him suppress any potential competitor who might threaten his empire.
Confessing painfully, these past few years, I've lived like a puppet on strings. On the surface, everything looks glamorous, but behind the scenes, I can't even make my own choices.
Solemnly, this time, we're going to cut that string once and for all, together.
During Gunyen and the others' covert investigation, another similarly harrowing accident occurs on set. A crew member operating a large crane suddenly loses control of the equipment and nearly gets crushed. Fortunately, Su Li, who had already gotten wind of it, warns him just in time, averting yet another tragedy.
Still shaken, that crane completely lost control without warning just now. If I hadn't been warned in advance to check it, I probably would have been done for right here.
Solemnly, it seems Jiang Shichang's people have realized we're investigating him and are starting to panic.
Facing Jiang Shichang's increasingly frequent, suspicious moves, a fierce internal debate breaks out among Gunyen's allies over the timing of their next move. Shin Man worries the evidence isn't solid enough yet, and that acting rashly might tip Jiang Shichang off, letting him destroy the evidence and escape justice.
Worried, the evidence isn't solid enough yet. If we spook him and he destroys the evidence in advance, all our years of effort could go to waste.
Solemnly, you're right. We need to stay steady a while longer and make the chain of evidence completely airtight.
Just as the group thinks the investigation is going smoothly, they discover, to their shock, that a mole has been hiding within their own inner circle all along. An assistant responsible for helping organize their materials, who has been secretly leaking their investigation's progress to Jiang Shichang the entire time.
Flipping through the records in shock, how could this be? Has there been a traitor hiding among us this whole time?
Grim-faced, no wonder Jiang Shichang always managed to stay one step ahead. Turns out he's had a complete picture of our situation all along.
After rooting out the mole, Gunyen and the others, having learned a painful lesson, thoroughly overhaul their internal information security, distributing key evidence across multiple locations and strictly limiting who has access, finally regaining full control over the investigation.
Solemnly, from now on, any critical information will only be discussed face-to-face among a few core people. We will not leave any written or digital trace behind ever again.
Nodding, that's right. We need to be even more careful this time.
Sensing that Gu Nian has yet to take any action, yet still faintly aware of the threat, Jiang Shichang decides to personally step in, attempting to buy Gu Nian's silence with an extremely lucrative long-term exclusive contract, hoping he'll turn a blind eye to everything that's happened.
Feigning warmth, Mr. Gu, you're a rare talent. Sign this exclusive contract with me, and whatever resources or status you want, I can give you.
Expressionless, Mr. Jiang, I'm afraid you've got the wrong person. What I want was never any of that.
Facing the massive temptation Jiang Shichang dangles in front of him, Gu Nian remains completely unmoved. He stares coldly at this mastermind who treats human lives as worthless, making no attempt to hide the disgust and resolve in his heart.
Not backing down at all, Jiang Shichang. You profit off other people's lives as if they were bets on a table. No matter how much you offer, I will never sign this contract.
Face darkening, fine, if you won't drink the toast, you'll drink the penalty cup instead. Don't blame me for what comes next.
The night before they decide to expose Jiang Shichang publicly at the awards ceremony, Gu Nian and Xinman barely sleep a wink. The two go over every single detail of the exposure again and again, terrified that even the smallest oversight could sink this carefully planned operation.
Holding his hand, solemnly, whatever happens tomorrow, I will be standing right beside you the whole time.
Taking a deep breath? All right then, let's bet everything on this.
On the night of the awards ceremony, the atmosphere backstage is unusually tense. Su Li repeatedly double-checks the link for the evidence display on the giant screen. He sure and quietly confirms the police units already positioned around the venue, and everyone makes their final preparations for the storm about to break.
Confirming in a low voice, the evidence is backed up and ready, the signal link has been tested with no issues, we can push it to the big screen at any time.
Nodding, the police are already in position on their end too. Everything's ready.
The moment the broadcast signal goes out and Gu Nian's public exposure unfolds, the entire internet erupts instantly. Some viewers can't believe it's real, while others, based on scattered rumors of on-set accidents circulating online before, immediately choose to believe and rally behind Gu Nian.
Paraphrased, my God, exposing hard evidence live on broadcast, that takes serious guts. Gu Nian is betting his entire future on this. Paraphrased, no wonder we kept hearing about accidents on set all these years. Turns out there's a massive scandal hiding behind it all.
After the live broadcast exposure, quite a few behind-the-scenes crew members who were similarly injured on Jiang Shichang's productions, but forced into silence by non-disclosure agreements, muster the courage to come forward publicly, offering corroborating testimony from their own experiences.
In an interview, I nearly died in one of those so-called accidents too, back then. I never dared to speak up. Now I finally have the courage to tell the truth.
Recording solemnly, every new testimony is another straw breaking Jiang Shichang's back.
At the trial, Gu Nian also testifies as a key witness, detailing the deliberately staged explosion accident he personally experienced, as well as the true fate of Heishuren's deceased protégé, striving to make the court fully grasp the real, heavy human cost behind this crime.
On the witness stand, grave-faced, Your Honor, I personally experienced that deliberately orchestrated, deadly accident, and I witnessed with my own eyes far too many innocent industry workers pay a tragic price because of it. I ask the court to give them the justice they deserve.
Gu Nian's testimony, grounded in first-hand experience and carrying real weight, becomes one of the key pieces of evidence behind the court's ultimately severe sentencing of Jiang Shichang. During the trial, Jiang Shichang's defense attorney attempts to argue for a lighter sentence, claiming intense industry competitive pressure, not deliberate intent to kill. But faced with solid evidence of his long-term, deliberate manipulation that treated multiple human lives as worthless, the argument proves just as weak and unpersuasive.
In defense, Your Honor, the defendant, Jiang Shichang, operated within an intensely competitive industry environment. There are mitigating circumstances behind his motives.
Rebutting, personal misfortune in business can never be a legitimate excuse for treating other people's lives as worthless and deliberately orchestrating multiple deadly incidents.
After the case concludes, the Industry Association holds a solemn public memorial for all the victims who died in on-set accidents orchestrated by Jiang Shichong over the years. Gunyan, He Shuren, and Su Li all solemnly attend, paying their deep respects to those lives that can never be brought back.
At the memorial, let us observe a moment of silence together, in memory of our colleagues who tragically lost their lives in this years-long cover-up. May the departed rest in peace.
Solemnly, this belated memorial is at least some measure of the respect those departed souls deserved.
Riding on the massive impact of this case, the Industry Association also spearheads the establishment of an independent, third-party safety certification body, one not affiliated with any investor, specifically responsible for reviewing safety standards for high-risk action scenes, aiming to eliminate similar tragedies at the institutional level.
At a press conference, this independent safety certification mechanism is exactly the kind of hard-won lesson from this painful tragedy. From now on, any high-risk scene must pass this review before filming begins.
Solemnly. That's probably the achievement we're proudest of from this whole journey of risking everything to expose the truth.
As Gunyan's story becomes widely known, quite a few film companies approach him, hoping to buy the adaptation rights to his story for a high price and package it commercially, but Gunyan turns them all down one by one.
Persuading hard, Mr. Gu, your story is honestly the perfect material. Just say the word, and we can offer you quite a generous price.
Solemnly declining. I'm sorry, but this experience carries the very real pain and sacrifice of too many people. I don't want it over-commercialized or turned into mere entertainment.
Facing endless commercial offers, Gunyan ultimately chooses to donate every last cent of proceeds from the one in-death report he agreed to authorize Su Li to write, along with any future related earnings, to a charitable fund specifically supporting the families of past on-set accident victims.
At the donation ceremony, this money should go to the families who truly need help, not into my own pocket.
This choice, made without seeking fame or fortune, only a clear conscience, further sharpens and deepens Gunyan's respected image in the public eye. A year later, Gunyan is invited to give a talk to a group of newly recruited stunt performers. Rather than dwelling on his own extraordinary experience, he focuses on emphasizing that safety matters just as much as professionalism in this line of work.
To the new recruits, no matter how dangerous the action scene you're filming, safety always comes first. No shot is ever worth trading your life for.
The solemn, focused eyes of the new recruits in the audience make Gunyan feel, for a moment, as if he's looking at his own past self. Someone who knew nothing at the time, yet gritted his teeth and pushed through step by step. Even though this crisis has been fully resolved, Gunyan hasn't completely shaken off the psychological residue left by repeatedly immersing himself in dark roles. Late at night, he still occasionally wakes with a start from the manic memories of a role, drenched in cold sweat.
Jolting awake from a nightmare, gasping, that character's eyes again. I guess this residue isn't something that just disappears easily.
Fortunately, with Shin Man always by his side to support him, Gunyan gradually learns to make peace with this lingering psychological shadow and slowly heal.
Gently rubbing his back, dreaming about those roles again? It's okay, I'm right here. You're not facing this alone anymore.
Leaning on her shoulder, steadying his breathing. Thank you for always being here, Sister Man. With you by my side, this lingering shadow doesn't feel quite so hard to get through.
It's precisely this steadfast companionship that lets Gunyan gradually walk out of the shadow of those roles and re-embrace a peaceful, fulfilling new life. Free from Jiang Shichong's shadow, Mu Changchuan proactively reaches out to Gunyan, proposing they co-star together in a brand new, realistic-themed film, continuing to contribute to this industry's positive transformation in his own way.
Solemnly, Gunyan, I want to team up with you for this new project. It'll be our way of putting a fitting close on this whole chapter, together.
Readily, sure. Let's do this one right, together.
Su Li also decides to write a more complete, detailed nonfiction book, systematically documenting this years-long scandal from its origins to its downfall, hoping to give future readers courage when facing injustice of their own.
To Gunyan, I want to title this book Under the Spotlight, to leave your story, complete and true, for those who come after.
Nodding solemnly, good. As long as it helps more people remember this hard-won justice, I'll fully support this book.
After the case settles, Shun makes a solemn decision. He dedicates the final film of his directing career to the memory of his wrongfully deceased protege, solemnly listing his name in the closing credits.
At the wrap party, solemnly, this is the last film I'll ever direct in my life, and it's also the latest, yet most heartfelt, tribute I could give that kid.
Raising his glass solemnly. Director what you've trained isn't just actors. It's a spirit that refuses to bow to darkness.
During a rare moment of leisure, Gunyen and Shunman sit in a quiet little restaurant, talking about this long journey from rock bottom to a new beginning. The extra who once didn't even have a single line has now become a respected, accomplished actor.
Smiling gently, do you remember when I first saw you on set? You were just an extra who could barely even get his day rate paid. Who would have thought we'd make it this far?
Holding her hand, solemnly. None of this would have happened without you never giving up on believing in me.
Gunyen still keeps that yellowed medical record from back then, documenting his blood corrosion syndrome diagnosis. Even though he no longer needs it to remind himself of his condition, he still flips through it from time to time, reminding himself never to forget that darkest hour that nearly cost him his life.
Gently stroking the medical record, murmuring softly, this record doesn't just document past despair, it's the most unforgettable answer of rebirth in my entire life.
The medical record sits quietly in a corner of his desk, silently telling the story of this harrowing journey that began in despair and ended in new life. On the 2-year anniversary of the incident, the Industry Association holds a lively celebration marking the industry's revival, reviewing the pleasing results of a dramatic drop in on-set safety accidents over the past 2 years. Gunyen, Shun, and Suli are invited as guests of honor to witness this hard-won transformation together.
Giving a speech at the celebration, on-set safety accident rates have dropped by over 90% these past 2 years. None of this would have been possible without Mr. Gunyen and the others' courage in exposing the truth back then.
With feeling, seeing everyone able to make films safely again, that's probably the best reward for everything we fought so hard for back then.
At the celebration, a group of young fans proudly bring out hand-drawn pictures they made themselves. In the drawings, Gunyen is depicted bathed in spotlight, driving back the darkness. He has clearly become a rightful inspirational idol in the hearts of countless young dreamers.
Holding up her drawing, excitedly, Mr. Gu, look, this is you exposing the bad guy. Doesn't it look cool?
Crouching down, smiling as he takes the drawing. Wow, this is really well drawn. Thank you for remembering me so clearly.
Just after this peaceful celebration, that system voice, the one that once quietly awakened during Gunyen's most desperate hour, surfaces once more, rare as it is, deep in his consciousness. This time, though, its tone carries an almost gentle sense of farewell.
Mechanical tone, unusually gentle, ding. Host has, through genuine performance and fearless courage, fully fulfilled the ultimate purpose of this system's existence. The death row life extension system will now enter permanent dormancy. May the host continue to shine brightly on his own strength from here on.
Gazing into empty space, softly. Thank you for once giving me the chance to keep living. The rest of the road, I'll walk on my own strength.
After the system fades away, Gunyen doesn't feel the slightest sense of loss. Instead, he feels an unprecedented lightness. The life that once could only continue through borrowed time has now finally, completely become a life truly his own, free to write however he chooses.
Looking up at the sky, letting out a long breath. Every day before this was borrowed time from the system. Every day from now on is truly, finally my own.
Sunlight bathes Gunyen's face. That once darkest hour that nearly cost him his life has now completely transformed into the nourishment that fuels him as he keeps moving forward. During the investigation, Gunyen and the others also unexpectedly obtain, from a defected internal finance employee, an extremely secretive ledger personally kept by Jiang Shichang. A ledger that meticulously records, one entry at a time, every single on-set accident he's ever orchestrated, along with the corresponding insurance payout for each.
Handing over the ledger, trembling, I've kept this ledger hidden for a long time, too afraid to bring it out. Now I can finally hand it to someone who can deliver justice.
Flipping through the ledger, shocked, the numbers recorded here are even more staggering than what we already had. There are full 11 similar accidents listed.
Flipping through this detailed ledger of crimes, Gunyen truly comes to realize just how much larger and more horrific Jiang Shichang's crimes are than he originally imagined. 11 living lives, simply sacrificed as chips in his pursuit of profit.
Gripping the ledger, voice trembling. 11 lives. Does this man even have a conscience left?
This horrifying truth makes Gunyen's resolve to expose Jiang Shichang even more unshakable. To make the exposure even more complete and convincing, Suli also takes Gunyen to personally visit the widow of an early victim, a crew member listed in the ledger. For years, she had no idea her husband's death was anything but an ordinary workplace accident, as she'd been told.
Sobbing, all these years I thought it was just bad luck. I never imagined someone deliberately took his life.
Solemnly, ma'am, this time we will make sure the truth comes out and gets him the justice he deserves.
As more victims' families and internal informants continue to come forward, Jiang Shichang senses the crisis closing in step by step. He grows increasingly paranoid and anxious, even beginning to suspect the people closest to him.
Questioning a trusted aide coldly, is someone in this company stabbing me in the back again lately?
Panicked, boss, we will step up our screening. We won't let anyone leak information again.
On the eve of the operation, Gunyen himself feels a flicker of hesitation deep down. After all, he's only just managed to reclaim his place in the spotlight. Publicly exposing Jiang Shichang and the vast power network behind him could very well erase everything he's rebuilt in an instant.
Confessing to Shin Man, Sister Man, honestly, I'm scared too. If this operation fails, all our years of effort could go up in smoke.
Gripping his hand, firmly, being scared is normal. But if we choose silence out of fear, how are we any different from his accomplices?
Thinking of Heshuren's protege, wronged, deceased, and still without a single word of justice, the flicker of doubt in Gunyen's heart gradually gives way to an even firmer resolve. He cannot let a tragedy like this be quietly buried again.
Clenching his fist, solemnly, for the sake of those who can never come back, no matter the cost this time, I cannot back down again.
Carrying this heavy yet unwavering conviction, Gunyen completely casts aside the last shred of hesitation in his heart. To prevent the giant screen signal from being maliciously cut off at the critical moment, Suli prepares several backup broadcast plans in advance, including a synchronized livestream backup through an on-site reporter's phone, to make sure the evidence gets displayed to the public no matter what.
Checking the equipment, solemnly, the giant screen signal, the phone livestream backup, and the on-site reporter's synchronized feed, all three plans are ready. Nothing can go wrong.
Relieved, with preparations this thorough, I feel a lot more at ease.
After the case is exposed, Jiang Shichang's own son, who once took great pride in his father, reacts in the exact opposite way upon learning the truth. He doesn't hesitate to publicly cut ties with his father and proactively cooperates with the police, providing whatever information he knows.
In an interview, pained, learning what my father did all these years fills me with deep pain and shame. I only hope the victims' families receive the compensation and apology they deserve.
This choice to prioritize justice over blood ties also adds a complex, humane dimension to how the public views this case. After the case concludes, all of Jiang Shichang's confiscated assets are used to compensate the victims' families and the injured over the years. Gunyen even takes the time to personally visit each family, one by one, offering his condolences and apologies.
Bowing to the widow, ma'am, this belated compensation and justice can't bring him back, but I hope it can make up, even a little, for the suffering you've endured all these years.
In tears, thank you all for never giving up on uncovering the truth.
During a rare moment of leisure, Gunyen and Heshuren sit on a bench on set, talking about the regret that has never quite faded. If only the truth had come out sooner, maybe fewer unnecessary sacrifices would have happened.
With feeling, if I'd only been a little braver back then, maybe fewer people would have died. I think I'll carry that regret for the rest of my life.
Solemnly, Director we can't undo the past regrets. But at least now, we've given everything we've got to make sure the tragedy doesn't repeat.
Riding on the massive social impact of this case, an industry union specifically formed to fight for the safety rights of stunt performers is also officially established. Gunyen, given his own experience, is specially invited to serve as an honorary advisor to the union.
Solemnly, Mr. Gu, your experience is exactly the kind of catalyst that led to this union's founding. We hope you'll continue to speak up for this industry.
Solemnly, as long as it gives more of my colleagues an extra layer of safety while filming, I'll gladly take on this role.
After his career is fully back on track, Gu Nian is specially invited back to the acting school in his hometown, the very same school that once gently turned him away due to his poor health, to give a particularly special talk to the current students.
With feeling, Gu Nian, we were the ones who turned you away back then. Having you back now to share your story with us really means a lot.
Waving it off with a smile, teacher, the past doesn't matter anymore. Being able to come back and share a bit of experience with the students here is what truly makes me happy.
Facing a room full of students carrying dreams of acting, yet clearly a little lost, Gu Nian, drawing on his own journey from rock bottom to rebirth, offers them some especially heartfelt advice.
To the students, solemnly, no matter how tough your situation is right now, as long as you're willing to give everything for what you love, fate will eventually give you a chance to turn things around.
The solemn, focused eyes of the students in the audience make Gu Nian feel as if he's looking at his own past self, someone who knew nothing at the time, yet gritted his teeth and held on step by step. After the talk, Gu Nian pulls Shin Man along to revisit the very set corner where he once worked as a background extra. The place has long since changed beyond recognition, with only weathered set fragments quietly telling the story of that unremarkable yet precious starting point.
Gazing at the weathered set pieces, murmuring softly, that extra who once didn't even have a single line. I bet he never imagined he'd end up here one day.
Gently holding his arm, every step of the journey counts. This is truly your own story now.
During the deeper investigation, the police, following the trail, also arrest a corrupt safety inspector who had long colluded with Jiang Shichang. Responsible for falsifying on-set equipment safety inspection reports, for years, he'd turned a blind eye to obviously hazardous equipment in exchange for massive bribes.
Sneering while being escorted away, I just signed my name. I wasn't the one who actually tampered with anything.
Coldly, signing off and stamping approval is itself a dereliction of duty. That makes you an accomplice, and we'll settle this account with you too.
Learning that the inspector has also been caught, Gu Nian comes to a deeper realization. This years-long tragedy was never just the crime of one man, Jiang Shichang. It was the inevitable result of an entire regulatory system failing, over and over, and allowing corruption to fester.
To Su Li, with feeling, catching Jiang Shichang alone isn't enough. We need to make sure the entire regulatory loophole gets fixed for good.
Solemnly, don't worry. I'll make sure this systemic issue gets written into the report too.
After Su Li's in-depth report is published, the relevant regulatory authorities also seize the moment to launch an industry-wide special audit of on-set safety inspection practices, uncovering several more similar cases of suspected fraud and further tightening the regulatory loopholes at the root.
At a press conference, this special audit once again proves the necessity of establishing an independent, third-party regulatory mechanism. We will continue to strengthen our inspection efforts.
With relief, that's probably the most far-reaching significance of this whole journey of risking everything to expose the truth.
Completely free of Jiang Shichang's shadow, Mu Chengchuan also begins using his platform and influence as a top star to frequently advocate, in public interviews, for stronger safety protections for performers and crew, continuing to fuel this industry-wide change in his own way.
In an interview, I hope this industry will one day value safety just as much as box office numbers and views, and never again let a colleague lose their life just to keep up with the shooting schedule.
Pressing further, does this also have something to do with your own past experience?
Candidly, it does. It's precisely because I lived through it myself that I want to speak up even more for those who haven't had the chance to be heard yet.
On the day Mu Chengchuan gives that interview, Gu Nian specially takes time to quietly attend, sitting in the audience to show his support for this former rival turned close friend. In a real, tangible way, their once tense rivalry has long since turned into an easy side-by-side camaraderie.
After the interview, smiling at Gu Nian, I can't believe you actually came all this way just to back me up.
Smiling back, we're on the same side now. Of course I had to come show up for you.
In recognition of the exceptional resolve and unwavering support she showed throughout this long crisis, Shun Man is formally promoted within her talent agency.
Solemnly, Shun Man, the professionalism and dedication you've shown this time has been noticed by the entire company. This promotion is well-deserved.
With relief, thank you for the company's trust. But honestly, the thing I'm proudest of is being able to walk through the hardest days of my life alongside Gunyen.
With both career and relationship now firmly on track, Gunyen and Shunman choose a quiet little town far from the spotlight to hold a simple, heartfelt celebration attended only by their closest family and friends. Unassuming, yet deeply genuine.
Raising his glass, with feeling, you two have been through so much together on this journey. Seeing you this happy now, even an old man like me is happy for you.
Raising his glass in return, Director He, thank you for all your guidance and trust along the way.
Gunyen still keeps a copy of that key ledger which exposed the full extent of Jiang Shichang's crimes. Even though the case has long since been closed, he still flips through it from time to time, reminding himself never to look away from any hidden injustice again.
Gently stroking the ledger copy, murmuring softly, this ledger doesn't just record crimes. It's a constant reminder never to close my eyes to injustice.
The ledger copy sits quietly in a corner of his desk, silently telling the story of this long journey that began in darkness and ended in justice. To everyone's surprise, Su Li's in-depth report and Gunyen's testimony also indirectly inspire a group of workers in a completely unrelated industry, people who had long endured exploitation in silence, to muster the courage to come forward and expose similar hidden corruption within their own field.
Reading a letter, with feeling, I never imagined our report could give this much courage to a completely unrelated industry.
Solemnly, that's probably the most precious ripple effect of daring to expose the truth.
Long after the case is fully settled, Gunyen unexpectedly receives a letter of gratitude from Mu Qingchuan's former manager, an older industry veteran who had also once been silenced and coerced by Jiang Shichang, and who can now, at last, openly be himself again.
In the letter, Mr. Gu, thank you for your courage back then. At my age, I finally no longer have to live under someone else's threats, and can openly be myself again.
Reading the letter with relief, this belated freedom is probably one of the best endings this whole storm could have had.
Free from the pressure of the life extension system, Gunyen, for the first time in his life, gets to choose a role based purely on passion rather than survival. He ultimately picks a warm, healing, completely ordinary character role with zero risk involved.
To Shun Man, with feeling, this is the first time in my life I've chosen a role purely because I love it, with zero pressure to survive. It feels really good.
Smiling with relief, that's what acting was always supposed to feel like.
On the night of this new, passion-driven film's premiere, Gunyen specially invites Shin Man, He Shuren, Su Li, and Mu Changchuan to attend together. This group who once fought side by side through life and death, risking everything to expose the truth, can now finally, simply as friends and colleagues, celebrate a new project free of any burden.
Raising his glass, with feeling, seeing you all sitting here, simply happy about a new film. That's probably the most precious sight this whole journey of risking everything has earned us.
Raising his glass in return, thank you all for never giving up on me along the way. None of this would exist without you.
Raising her glass with a smile, getting to witness you rise from rock bottom to here, this report was worth every bit of effort.
Laughing, egging everyone on, all right, enough with the sentimental talk. While the drinks are still warm, let's toast and celebrate properly.
Laughter and applause fill the premiere venue without pause. This group who once walked through the darkest hour together can now finally, without any burden, enjoy this hard-won peace and joy. Outside the window, the city lights shine bright, just like the steady, secure, and deeply precious new life they now share. That once all-consuming, darkest storm has completely settled into the strongest bond and foundation of each of their lives. On another peaceful night, Gunyen stands under the set lights, gazing at the trophy in his hands. Once seemingly unreachable, that terminal illness that nearly cost him his life, and that do-or-die journey of exposing the truth, have now completely become an especially weighty, especially precious memory in his life.
Gazing at the trophy, solemnly and warmly, speaking straight to the camera. This experience taught me something real. No matter how far fate backs you into a corner, as long as you're willing to give everything you've got, you can always turn things around. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit subscribe. The next one's even better. See you again soon.
The set lights remain warm as ever. A legendary story that began in despair and ended in rebirth will keep quietly living on. Together with this light, for a long, long time to come.